Hey, everybody. Welcome to the TEConnect podcast. I'm John Martin.
And I'm Dean Reverman.
Dean, services. What do you think of when I say the word services?
Services. I don't know, right? We all consume services of some sort. Are we talking like massages and stuff like that?
No,
Are
we're
you
not.
talking? Oh, we're not?
That's a whole different
That's
thing.
not what we're talking about
No,
today?
that's our podcast after dark version.
We're talking about reseller services.
We are.
Yes, sir. Services are really important.
Well, and we're talking about the fact that I don't think enough of our reseller partners really take advantage of services that could be offered out there.
Yep.
And the better part is it doesn't have to be services that you offer. It can be services that you get from someone else.
Yep.
Someone like, I don't know, BlueStar. This company who's, hosting and doing this podcast. Look, we don't spend a lot of time on this show talking about ourselves.
Right.
But we are kind of going to do that a little bit today. It's going to be a conversation about how services are important to your, business, how it can be a part of your portfolio and a part of what makes you stand out, that value add that we're always looking for. But we're also going to tell you how BlueStar fits into that equation and can be your services partner.
Yep.
We have Alex Bowles here with us today to talk a little bit about this, BlueStar's own Alex Bowles. And we're going to dive a little bit further into this particular topic. We're going to talk about, again, how that services can expand your portfolio, what kind of services we're talking about. We'll tell you what BlueStar has to offer, everything from configuration to warranty repairs. We got it.
We got it.
We got it. We can help
We
you
got
out.
good stuff.
And we'll even maybe give you a few use cases and examples.
Absolutely.
Without giving any names away, maybe some interesting stuff that we've actually done out there that we could potentially do for you and your customers.
Yep.
All of that plus our usual value to the VAR and what's tech connecting with us. It's time to plug in and get connected.
Welcome to the TEConnect podcast. It's time to get connected.
All right, so as I mentioned, we have a guest in studio
We got
today.
somebody here.
I mean, we had Cordy here, I guess, a
Yeah,
few weeks
I
back,
know,
but
but,
he's been about the only in-house guest we've had in forever. But it's kind of cool. It's different. It's nice to have it. So welcome, Alex. We
Nice to
appreciate
be
having
here.
you
Thanks.
today.
Thanks for having me.
You are the services program manager here at BlueStar.
Yes.
So tell the folks maybe a little bit about your role, how you got here, your path through BlueStar and through this industry.
Sure. So I started with BlueStar in 2005, picking and packing orders out in the warehouse.
Yep.
Over the years, took on more and more responsibility, helped with our Oracle launches and customizing some of our shipping software, just making improvements. And then took a couple-year break, came back in 2016 into this role, this service program manager role that, Rob sort of created. There was a need from various customers looking for a little more, focus, support, structure behind the services that we were offering, and someone for documentation side and things like that. So what I really do is support our sales team, work hand in hand with the operations team, our marketing team, our purchasing team, or every team basically, as well as outside third-party installation partners, service providers, things like that. So sort of navigate the whole process from beginning or a concept to once we're walking off site and looking at the pretty pictures.
Yeah. Well, I like also the idea that you just mentioned, that fact of walking off site at the end, because I think a lot of people hear about services and they think, this is just some stuff that you're going to help us out with, maybe before you ship something to us or whatever. I think the best part of a service package is one where you feel like, hey, I'm supported all the way through this process, not just before I get the product and you walk away and say, okay, we're done. Good luck, guys. Enjoy this, what you got here. But that we try to be there for you all the way through the process.
Yeah.
Let's
get this elephant out of the room real quick, because I know, Alex, you come across this, and it's awesome to have you here, by the way. And for folks that are, on the other side listening and watching here, what I love about Alex is that as he said, he came up through the ranks. He understands what our customers are doing. He won't toot his own horn, but he understands it very, very well, what our resellers are going through on a day-to-day basis, and can make those connections. But a lot of times people will come to you, right, Alex, and say, well, why would I use BlueStar Services? That's what I do. You guys are competing with me. And that's not at all what this is about. BlueStar Services are there for our resellers to help augment what they can do.
Fill in the gaps.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Yeah. That's what we're talking about. I just wanted to level set on that.
That's
it's
a good
not
point.
like we're not competing with our resellers. We are doing everything in our power to help amplify them, make them, just help them along the way. I guess that would be the easiest word.
We're not going to sit here on our podcast and tell everybody, hey, we're looking to take some business away from you. Sorry.
Not at all.
Not at all.
That was some of the early feedback
Right.
when we were trying to get everything, I guess, stood up, and we were crawling, walking, whatever at that stage. And once I got that message across that, we're not here to take this from you. We are going to partner with you to help you, close either a larger opportunity, or maybe it's somewhere you've got a multi-site opportunity and your team is tied up somewhere and you need somebody else to help with the others. We've assisted some of our larger ISVs with stadium installs where they have a staff that does the installation, but their timeline is going to require more resources. So we've been able to assist and partner up with some of our field installation teams, bring them in and get done a few days early.
Yeah. And what I like about what you just said there is it's the gamut. I think that we have services that can help the small to medium-sized reseller all the way up to the big guys. I mean, of course, everyone touts the big projects, and we'll get into some of those a little bit here without naming names on this podcast. But even because I came from the reseller world, and I totally remember, BlueStar Services back then and more in its infancy, but I saw the value, and we were in digital signage, and it was when it was still very young and stuff like that. But understanding that I could have partnered with BlueStar to help with installations, because we were winning deals, even though we were here in Cincinnati. We were winning deals down in Florida. Well, heck, I don't have anybody down in Florida that can do my installation. That's the kind of stuff that BlueStar Services really can do. Yep. Doesn't matter your size of the reseller. So,
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep. We're helping. We're working on projects where it's one panel.
There you go.
49-inch panel in a doctor's office, or
a
cafeteria or something like that.
Yeah.
All the time.
Well, and that brings up a very good point, too, because we had you on one of our TEConnect webinars last week, which was all about BlueStar's value adds in general beyond just, services. But we pointed out that you and everybody else who was on that panel has a hard time saying no. We're not the types, it's just not in the BlueStar DNA to say, nope, sorry, we can't help you out with that. If you have a question, if you ask us something, you tell us this is what we need to get done, we're going to say yes. And the other part of that, I think that conversation that came up too, is this idea that, look, no VAR is an island by themselves. It's okay to ask for help, and we want to help you. I think I even said it on that webinar, like, your success is our success.
Yes,
absolutely.
bingo.
So if you've got a project that you're working on, and to make that project happen, you require something that maybe just isn't in your wheelhouse, or isn't something that you are comfortable with, or to your point, you just don't have the time and bandwidth for. Maybe you're working on the biggest project in your company's history right now, and these couple other little things pop up that you want to give that kind of attention to you normally would, but you just don't have the volume right now. Hey, that's where we can step in.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's a great example of the advantage of reaching out to us. If you're trying to sell or close an opportunity that's maybe not your strong suit, we're working with everybody, you know, and all different verticals and whatnot. And we're to a point now that we haven't done everything under the sun, but we're getting a whole lot more projects under our belt, and know the right questions to ask before we go to site, before, look at the solution, the digital signage solution. Are there extra pieces that you could cut out by, using a different monitor or system on chip or something like that? What does the installation environment look at? Just asking certain questions that are going to save a lot of time and money down the road. Frustration and everything else. The customer is going to have a much better experience with, a few bullet points that I could send somebody an email. Hey, yeah, let's figure it out and get these answers, and we'll go from there. So.
Definitely. Well, before we get into some of the specific services that we offer up, I kind of wanted us to talk about the value piece of this for our VAR listeners of, what it means to incorporate services into your day-to-day business. So, I thought about how this can expand your portfolio and make you a better a better VAR, have better offerings for your customers by being able to say, hey, we've got these services we can provide for you. Oh, and we've got a great partner in BlueStar that will help us out too. So, we had our episode, it's been maybe about a month or so back, about recurring revenue. And one of the fundamental bases of recurring revenue is this idea of having a core competency and knowing what that is, knowing and recognizing, like, look, this is who we are. This is what we're good at. This is what will always be our foundation and base. We will never move away from this. We will make sure this is who we are, and then build up from there on top of that. Maybe it was the sustainable growth episode. I don't remember which one. So in my mind, again, this idea of being flexible with services and having service partners means that you can keep that time free for those core competencies. So if this is what we're great at, we are amazing. Maybe your thing is installation. We are amazing at installations. We are the ones that you can call and go to, and we'll get everything set up and running for you and have an amazing rollout of that part of it. But maybe you're not as good at the installing OSs or, getting all of that,
staging and
getting all of that together.
We can certainly assist with that, pre-shipment.
Yeah,
so whether it's in the field or before it leaves our facility, we can help on both fronts.
Right. So again, you can stick to your core competency, but then rely on someone like us to help you fill in those gaps, as we mentioned earlier. Leaving it to the experts. That's a big one. Understanding, like, hey, there are some things that you simply don't have to be the expert in.
Right.
And it's okay if you're not. And it's okay to say you're not. Or hey, maybe you don't even tell your customer that you're not the expert. You just know, hey, I've got BlueStar over here who are the experts in this. And when my customer says I want X, Y, Z, I know I can do X and Y really well. I'll have BlueStar do Z, and I'll just present it as a front that we took care of all this for you. Hey, we're humble folks. We don't demand a lot of, the attention and, with the credit for everything. We're not going to go and say, hey, we did that. It was us, BlueStar.
We will work in the background.
Because your customer doesn't know who the heck we are. They don't care, So we'll take care of that in the background for you. And then in my mind also, again, this is just one more selling tool in the arsenal of a value-added reseller. All this stuff we always talk about, all these value adds, this is just one more you can add to your back pocket to be able to go to a customer and say, hey, by the way, here's one extra thing we can do. We're going to take care of staging for you. We are going to do a site survey for you. We've got some friends who will come out and manage the installation for you. Hey, we'll take care of some repairs for you on the back end. Just one more piece of the selling tool, of the selling playbook that you can bring out to a customer and to convince them, like, you want to sign on with me and take this job with me or give me this business because we're going to take care of everything for you from start to finish.
Holy moly.
Right?
Can I unpack some of the stuff that you just went over? Because you just did a ton there, my friend. I'm going to rewind the tape a little bit on your core services, because we have chatted about that. And absolutely, most companies come up with, they're sitting down there, they have their annual meeting. What are we going to do next year? Got to protect the core, right?
Right.
But we want to start dipping our toe wherever. Maybe it's in networking. They understand we've got resellers out there. They're all dealing with edge devices, and maybe they've got some customers that are coming to them and saying, hey, do you do anything on the networking front? And maybe they're a little bit shy about that. But look, one smart strategy to deploy when you're thinking about growing your business is to leverage service partners. The best way to do that, if you want to start getting into some game, go to third-party entities and start dipping your toe, start getting involved in it, leverage their skill sets. Our BlueStar Services team can help you. I'll give you a use case. Again, let's say you're wanting to get into networking, but you don't know a lot about it. We've got partners that can do site surveys, that can do some of that initial legwork, right, to map out a place. Let's say you've got an opportunity at a healthcare facility, or you name the use case, but you just don't have the staff that does site surveys for networking normally. We can help them out there.
Absolutely.
So you can start leveraging, and maybe, after you leverage us a couple times and you get some under your belt and you understand the business a little bit better and you feel like bringing that in as a part of your core competency, that is a smart business strategy for trying to grow yourself in that. We get into managed services, stuff like that. So I love your second bullet there. Leave it to the experts, because you're not. If you're thinking about getting out of your core, you're not an expert in whatever avenue it is. Leverage the heck out of them, right? So, Alex, do you have some, I don't know, what are your thoughts here about people using your services to help grow their business, or getting into areas that maybe they don't normally get into?
Absolutely. Like you mentioned earlier about using their expertise, or leave it to the experts. That's,
right.
It's a great idea. We can go out, do a site survey, and uncover a whole lot of what could be painful issues, when we're going on site or whatnot. But yeah, I think that's definitely an advantage of using the team to uncover that, bring items to the forefront, or just call out some things that they see while they're on site, whether it's placement or running cable or, what if they need fiber and you never run fiber or something, the team that we work with, they can, and they are doing that every day. Sometimes there's just parts of jobs that you don't want to do.
Mm-hmm. That's a really good
I've
point.
had that conversation with some customers or partners as well. They're like, yeah, we need to pull a ton of cable, and I don't want to use my resources on that right now. I'd much rather, partner with somebody, have the cable pulled and ready to go. Everything's terminated. All they got to do is go in and install the APs or whatever. So we're happy to help there too. I mean, our techs are ready to go to work. They want to go to work. Whether you want to do that portion of it or not, we can certainly assist there. So
yeah. You don't want to have to turn down a job for that reason either. To say well, man, that's something we don't really good at. We don't like to do it. We don't really know anybody that does it. And sorry, we can't help you out with this. I mean, no one ever wants to do that. And let's be honest, most salespeople are never going to do that. They are going to say, yeah, we'll take care of that for you. And then in the back of their mind going, I don't know how the hell we're going to do this.
yeah.
and eventually either they just figure it out and maybe they get somebody that's not quite an expert, or they end up letting it go and actually can't deliver, and then potentially lose a sale, potentially lose a customer. Again, don't leave that up to chance.
No. Let's focus in on a couple areas here. So we got, you got pre-sales stuff, you got during the sale stuff, and then post-sale. But on the pre-sale side, I love where you were going, Alex, in the sense that look, not so subliminal message here is that service providers who know what they're doing can actually help you, reseller, get into an area because they can help think through all those landmines, all those pitfalls that are out there. We work with partners. Alex's team knows what is going on in our ecosystem. We know point of sale, we know digital signage, we know transportation logistics. We've been in all these projects, so we can bring a certain amount of experience, to the table about, hey, if you're thinking about doing this, you got to think about doing that. So you're getting a really knowledgeable, experienced service provider to the table that's it's going to make you look better, period. If you are thinking about growing your business into a certain area and you leverage service providers like that who know what they're doing and have that experience, man, more efficient is the phrase that you used. Amen. They'll be much more efficient at it.
Yeah,
getting it done.
I agree.
Yeah.
Well, then let's get into some of BlueStar's offerings here, and kind of in particular some of the things that you and your team do on a regular basis, and maybe some things you don't get to do on a regular basis. But we want to make sure we get the word out because more people actually are asking about these. And first, I want to start with I think we're most proud of anything of our custom config department,
certainly.
Which has a variety of tools at their disposal, a variety of kind of things that you can do, but maybe give us a rundown of maybe what the day-to-day operations in custom config look like and what you're typically being asked to do.
Sure. So some of it's as simple as putting a custom part number on the box. Another great example that I think everybody should do when they buy a printer is have a label to call XYZ to reorder supplies.
I love that
I think
one.
You're really missing out if you're not doing that on every single printer that you're shipping out the door.
Yep.
You're missing out on high margin.
Yeah. It's that recurring revenue.
Damn, there's that recurring revenue again.
Recurring revenue.
Yeah,
for sure. Scanner configurations, whether it's just programming it, the barcode scanner, so it's ready to go out of the box. We can do a lot of kitting. It's not always the most intricate or technical services that we do, but it makes the experience when it's delivered to the customer so much better, because they know it's not just thrown in a box. It's, specifically placed in there together. We can do some pre-assembly, put in quick start guides, things like that.
Keep going down that path, because in our world, our society today, if you talked about subscription services at home 10 years ago, I don't think that has the same meaning as it does today, right?
People think it's a magazine or something.
Exactly. Yes. Not like Dollar Shave Club or
right.
I'm getting this. And so packaging and the way and the kitting of the solution, if you are delivering your solution, if you're a reseller that's delivering a solution to an end user, you probably are getting a little bit more sensitive as to what the kitting and what the packaging looks like, right? And so we can help out with those types of things.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Those are some of the most fun projects that we take
Right.
on, especially if it's a solution where we've got a partner that they're just starting out.
Mm-hmm.
They have no idea what they really want it to look like, but we've got enough examples that I can show and give you some ideas. We can tweak them and customize every single one of them. It could be a plain box, craft box, or fully printed, laser printed with your logo and all kinds of neat sayings or verbiage wherever you want, as well as custom inserts. So the possibilities are endless. They're fun to work on. They're a lot of work, but the end result is great. So if you want that retail feel, if that's what your solution is going into, we can certainly assist with that. If you're shipping to stadiums, you don't want that retail feel, we can still put a logo on a box so everybody knows that's your pallet. It's not going to get mixed in with the food or the whatever else is going on. You will be able to identify your stuff quickly. And depending on how much development we put into it, it could drastically reduce the install time that it takes, because we might have everything configured, assembled, and ready to go. You pull it out of the box, set it on the counter, plug in your network cable, and you're off. You're up and running.
I love that example. I mean, so
Who doesn't
here
want
in that
that?
particular use case, not using any names, but I mean, here you have the reseller and or software provider that really basically comes to BlueStar and says, hey, here's the solution, right? How can you help us? Well, we helped them in a lot of different ways. We help make their kitting much more efficient. So instead of in the case of a point of sale system that may have had 6 boxes shipping there, one for the receipt printer, one for the cash drawer, one blah, 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 all the components. Instead of all that arriving, and by the way, the pallet for the receipt printer might be on the other side of the stadium, kitting all that together, putting it together so that when it does arrive and the technicians get there, they're much more efficient in the field. That's where you don't want to be burning a lot of dollars is technicians running around trying to find their product or something like that, right? So it makes the whole process
helps
that
with
much more efficient.
Out of the box failures as
Yep.
well,
Yep.
because we've already touched everything. We've
Right.
done the assembly. We plugged it in. Fired it up. We know that it works.
Yep.
So your DOAs are much less
Mitigated.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Unless it's run over by a forklift. or
Well,
something.
yeah. Something you can do about that. That's not really on us, though.
Anything about that.
Yeah. Unless we're the ones that ran over it. So, but in which case, we probably fixed it. But it reminds me of this idea that you don't know sometimes who the person is that is going to be unboxing it and using it, because especially I think maybe not in a giant arena size project, but it may be a little bit of a smaller project. Let's say a regional network of stores or something that is rolling out a new POS or some new back end inventory system or something, and maybe you've had some corporate people, corporate IT who did the deal with you, spent all this time with you, and worked out all the details of what they wanted, and then had this discussion about let's getting it all packaged up and we're going to ship it out directly to all the individual stores, and we want them to be able to pop it open, unbox it, sit it on the counter, and start working. Well, that person who is probably potentially getting that, whether it's a store manager, a worker, they probably don't have their own IT person necessarily doing that. That person expects to be able to just literally pop it out of a box, plug it in, and to your point, just start working. Hook up a couple cables and be ready to go. And if that's not the experience and it's something they have to go through all these hoops just to get started, it's interrupting business for the day in some way. You got to take a register down or something, to do this. That is a terrible experience for that person, that worker, and then also for their customers as well. And I think that's a great point here where what we're trying to do and help you accomplish gets over that hurdle and realize yes, that we can set it up so that literally the person that is getting this and popping out of the box, even if they've had nothing to do with this project whatsoever, we're going to make it as simple as possible for them to get ready to go. And what it really reminds me of is in the world of tech these days in general, it's all about, for us as consumers, that experience. Apple's really good at this, has been good at this for a while.
Absolutely.
But you see every tech company doing this now. I can buy just some simple piece of tech off of Amazon, and it comes to me in one of those cool boxes.
An Apple box.
Yeah,
It's
like you flip
clearly
it open.
they've thought about it.
There's
right?
2 slips of paper in there, and it's carefully packaged. You pull a tab here, and this thing pops out, and this stuff's underneath. Which I love that. That's just, it's a fun, cool feel. But it also, the whole point of it is the idea of simplicity and saying, hey, you can pull this and use this right out of the box. You don't have a complicated 30-page instruction manual to dig through. we're just going to give you a couple simple little things you need to do to get started. And again, that is an experience that resonates at any level.
Yep.
It doesn't have to be just for consumers. It can also be in a business too. And your employees will appreciate that. Your IT will appreciate that. Everyone who works for you will appreciate that. And again, it's just the kind of service that we want to try to offer there.
Absolutely.
Anything I'm missing on the
agree.
config side that you guys do before we get
There's so much more.
So much more. So yes, there is. There's a
anything
ton
you
of-
don't do? Yeah, that's pretty much the bigger question. Yeah.
That's absolutely a fair point. There's not too much that we're not able to offer. A couple things I would just throw out there is probably zero touch enrollment. That's not brand new for us, but it's one of the more recent capabilities that we've added and taken on. So
Explain what
we
that
can
means.
help. So it's basically an MDM enrollment tool, or enterprise management device management tool, that we're going to enroll into Zero Touch Portal, and then as soon as it gets to the site, as soon as it, whether it's a connected network or what is it, GSM or 3G, whatever, it's on a cellular network connection, it'll go and pull down your MDM profile based on what we load into the portal. So it pretty much is, a zero touch, other than turning the power button on.
Right.
So
Again, ready to
it's going
go,
to pull
yeah.
the profile down, do all the configuration settings. If there's applications that need to be loaded, it's going to pull those down as well, the first time that you power it on. And then there's some other functionality to it, but we'll leave that to William and the really techie
The actual
guy.
experts,
That's
yeah.
right. The geniuses behind the scenes that make it all happen and possible.
Right. Okay. Well, then let's do a couple more things here. I think these next two these next three sort of kind of blend themselves together, which is this idea of installation, project management, what we can do on the back end with, warranty repairs, service plans, as well as we kind of references already this whole idea of site plans, network solutions. Those are all kind of part of, I think, one big package of idea of, again, the concept of, look, we're not just going to give you a product that we're shipping out the door. Maybe it's ready to go out the door, but you still have a lot of stuff you're going to have to figure out and do when it gets where it's supposedly going.
Right.
We want to make sure that's not a problem either. So what are we doing around that? Like, how do we work to make sure that everything that's happening on site is going smoothly as well?
Sure. So it's with communication with our partners. We're going to set up a kickoff call for large projects, even small ones, just to make sure that expectations are set from the get-go. Everybody understands what their role is, who needs to interact with who, once we get on site, or once we do get there and get everything set up, do we need to call a help desk or, your IT team and get them to log in, dial in, make sure that if it's digital signage, content management software is up and running, it's enrolled, it's connected to the network, or do we need to download the program, on the device, or install a media player, whatever it may be. So communication, that's key to our success of any of our projects. For one, follow up, whether it's with the site survey pictures or notes, measurements, things like that. I send a lot of pictures back and forth anytime that we go on site.
Yep.
Our technicians are always taking pictures as they go through. So again, digital signage comes up a lot because we do it a lot. Plain and simple. We do a lot of POS installs and everything else as well. But from the get-go, they'll take pictures of the boxes, serial numbers of the devices, unbox it, plug it in, make sure it's working. They'll take a picture of that. When they get the mount on the wall, they'll take a picture of that, step back. So you can see every step of the process of how it's, how it's progressing, how we're doing. If any issues come up, then we're going to address them as quickly as possible, and make sure that everybody's aware, because sometimes we can resolve them really quick.
Yeah,
right. And it's just a matter of knowing who has that information or has that piece of the puzzle. So, what's next?
I think that probably creates a nice chain of custody, I guess, for lack of a better term, of being able to, as you said, go back if something goes wrong. it'd be so much more convenient to be able to go back and say, okay, here's all the steps we took. Oh, there's the problem. We can spot that because we were paying attention to what we were doing along the way and taking note of every step along the way. And that's hugely important because
Oh yeah.
you work with somebody sometimes that, maybe they go and throw a project together and you don't really have any insight what they were doing along the way, and suddenly something's wrong and they're kind of like, no, I don't know, we'll have to take it all apart and start all over again to figure it out. Like, no, that shouldn't be the case.
No, and Alex hit the nail on the head right in the beginning there. Communication. I mean, look, I remember back in the day when we would hire third-party installation companies and stuff like that. Very similar to what Alex was just talking about. Look, as the reseller, you're the one who's it's your project, right? At the end of the road, it's your job to get the job done. And if you're relying on third-party resources, you got to have good communication. You got to know what's happening out there in the field.
Yep.
And that's why I'm glad you brought that up first, Alex, because I can just imagine, resellers, they get nervous. They don't know what's going on. I'm using a third party, yet I still got to answer to my customer. And so if I got good communication coming from my third-party resource, BlueStar Services, then that mitigates my nervousness, my anxiety level goes down. I understand what's going on. I can communicate that to my customer. Communication is key when it relates to installation, site surveys, that kind of stuff. All that pre-work, and then when the stuff's actually being installed, communication key. Yep.
Absolutely.
There you go.
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
Got to keep.
All right, well,
gotta
then
keep it moving.
Let's hit up this last one of our. I know we have more offerings than this, obviously. And we could go down a lot of rabbit holes, but I think another big one that we don't probably talk about as much as we should, and that I think some of our VARs may not be as aware of either, which is our role in key injection. So if you play in the POS space at all, you understand payments is a huge, important part of the business these days. We've had podcasts about it. We've had webinars about it. We're always talking about the idea. Look, if you're not already playing in payments, you got to be getting there soon because you can't just be a POS provider anymore. You can't just give somebody the hardware and be like, okay, have fun. Like you've got to be part of the payments discussion. You got to be part of the processing discussion, and we will help you out with that as well. So tell the folks a little bit about our key injection facility, what we've been doing there, and how we can help out with
Sure.
that.
So we are an ESO or a KIF, key injection facility, for short, KIF.
Official stamp.
Official.
Right?
It is official. We are PCI PIN version, I think 3.0 now, certified. We are point-to-point certified, and we're listed on the PCI's Council's website as well. So yeah, that was sort of one of the missing pieces over the years. I think is really helped us tie it all together. So now we really can provide the complete solution. From helping someone design a system, what items they need to include, software, the configuration of it, loading it on, kitting it, and then incorporating the payments piece as well. So we can inject the key, load the files. If you need any forms, we can assist with that to make sure that it's ready to go, and then have somebody go on site and install it. So
Yeah. So
awesome.
it is awesome. And for the POS folks out there, I mean, this is one of those elements that, you want to make sure that you have a good partner. Again, you need to have somebody that you can consult with too, because I know you guys do a lot of consultation, a lot of calls around, the total POS solution and what kind of key injection are you doing, or what device are you going to be utilizing in the overall solution. Those are key elements that you want to get hammered out before you start rolling into rollouts and stuff like that. So glad we have the service, no doubt about it, and the expertise on staff to be able to have those conversations and learn about it.
And I think to touch on one point you said, don't leave it to the end.
No,
don't just throw it in at last point, because some of these steps are really time consuming. If you've got to say you get your own solution, and you're having a key generated, and it's not something that we're going to generate. It's coming from a processor. That whole transfer process, especially with the environment that we're in with COVID and everything, there's not a lot of people. Not everybody's in the office,
right?
And they might, and you have to have two people to do some of these procedures and processes and key ceremonies, everything else. So don't wait till the last minute.
Yes.
Throw it out there. Let's talk about it from the get-go.
Absolutely. No doubt.
You say key
100%.
ceremony, I think of like somebody like walking with like a
Yes,
giant
it's like a
gold key,
coronation.
like
Well,
just slowly walking down the hall, passing it to someone else. You know, like
It's not too far off. I mean, it's like the launch codes for
Yes.
Yeah.
For
whatever.
nuclear missiles.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it
probably a little less stringent than the key.
I was gonna say,
dual
like it's the
control,
whole idea of
split
security.
knowledge.
You know,
Yeah.
like we've all been on at some point. All of us have probably been on the receiving end of some sort of hack with payments or passwords or something. Through a retailer. I mean, we've all at some point probably been touched by one of those.
Yeah.
And that's the kind of stuff that like there's no margin for error with that stuff these days. You know, so
No, and you got to think it through.
exactly.
Yeah.
But I definitely like your point about like. Don't make that the end point of the conversation. Like your initial part of your conversation should be like, "Hey, how are we going to make this happen? Let's talk to the guys over at BlueStar and start working on that." So,
Yeah, no doubt about it.
well, okay. So I want to, make you throw out some use cases here. So, I think we've talked about, the broad, aspects of these services. But again, without maybe digging into any specific, custom situations and customers that we've dealt with, maybe tell us about some use cases we've come across, some things that you frequently are asked to do, and maybe also throw in a few unique projects that you've been involved in over the years that you think would, maybe somebody would not have normally thought about that we could do for them.
Sure. One of the conversations we have a lot is that a partner just realized that we're able to do these services, and they haven't used it before, so they're testing the waters, essentially. So it'll start with something like a scanner configuration or scale calibration or something along those lines, and then they'll ask us for a different configuration for a handheld device or something. They want firmware loaded and the software application installed and memory card or something like that added to it. So baby steps, and finally we're doing more and more and more. It evolves into the full solution. We're doing the whole thing. I'm like, let's stop piecing it together and put a whole package together. So we're not shipping all these boxes out the door. Let's ship it all together. So it's nice. It's easy for everybody to find when it gets delivered. It's all in that box versus one box here, one box this week, one box the next week. Let us put it all together. So those are some examples of how we, crawl, run, walk with partners. Some have had to change their staffing situation, I guess, over the last year or so.
Yeah.
So it's unfortunate, but it's fortunate that we're able to help them. So their customer experience isn't changing in long run. We're still able to provide the same configurations, set up, configurations, whatever it may be, as their team was doing, so they can deliver to the customer. Right. Let's see. Unique stuff would probably be the full bundle. We're creating from soup to nuts, whatever a solution is with an ISV partner or something. They've got great software. They don't know anything about the hardware. So we'll come up with solutions.
Or the fulfillment side.
Or the logistics.
Yeah.
I mean, some of the 3PL logistics stuff has been fun too. Crazy stuff. We'll go back in the warehouse and it's like, what is this? When did we get into this? Okay.
All right, I guess we're doing this now.
That's what I'm saying. We don't like to say no. And sometimes maybe we should, but it is what it is. But back to the full service solution. The packaging is probably the most fun because you get to see an idea become reality, and the customers or our partners love it because that's their brand, that they're putting out there, and that experience for the end user when they get it, like, wow, I picked the right one. Look at this. Everything else comes in a generic box.
Yeah,
that's not a fit for everybody, but it's probably the more fun projects that we work on, and it doesn't make sense for everybody, but that's okay. We're happy to do generic stuff because you're shipping out 1 million of them. Yeah. And custom packaging can be expensive.
Oh, yeah.
And take a little while to develop.
Oh, yeah.
Depending on how much effort and work you want to put into it. So,
yeah.
Other projects would be stadium installs. It's neat. It's just, especially when you have customers in town or something, you can say, yeah, well, we are part of this.
That.
Yeah, we helped out. And nobody knows who BlueStar.
They don't have to.
We're fine with working behind the scenes.
It's your name, everybody thinks did everything, which is great, which is fine. We're happy to do that.
Right.
I know there was another. I know where you're going. There's another large project that we will remain unnamed who the end user was, but is large retail box store. But sometimes we can help out with just rollout organization, right? Because a lot of times, software or resellers, large or small, get a project and they don't understand the logistics of trying to send all that out and organize that in a way that. Well, that's kind of common to distribution. That's kind of what we do is we ship stuff around. We can help with rollouts.
Absolutely.
And the logistics of that,
and
right?
we have project managers that are going to oversee rollouts like that.
Yeah.
Whether you've got very specific hard deadlines to meet or it's let's get it out as fast as we possibly can, and have at least a list of stores by week. But yes, we're able to assist with all the logistics and facilitation of all of that, as well as bring in. Maybe there's items that we don't source. Mm-hmm. We'll work with you to set up custom part numbers in our system.
Yeah.
So you can send that hardware to us.
Look, we have areas in the warehouse what we have under lock and key. It's not our stuff. It's consigned space, right? Where it's maybe something we don't distribute, but it's a part of an overall solution, and it gets kitted and packaged in.
Yep. And if there are quick setup guides, we work with local printers. To get all kinds of documentation printed so we can include it. We'll skew it up and everything else. So that way you don't have to worry about shipping it back and forth.
Right.
We can run and go get it if we need them, in a pinch. So, yeah.
Well, okay, so I'm going to throw you a quick curveball here. What is one of the wackiest requests did you ever receive that we were actually able to fulfill? If you can think of something off the top of your head. Something you were like, really?
Oh,
okay, I guess so.
No, probably the 3PL kind of stuff that we aren't doing. Let's just call it fulfillment of customer-owned items. Some of the boxes you're shipping.
Items,
they're fun, but there's definitely been some other ones. I'd have to sit and go back to it. Some just make me shake my head. It's like I am not going to be able to find you a unicorn in that location. By tomorrow for $100.
Right.
But we'll try.
I'll try.
Yeah. I won't say no, but I'm not promising you yes necessarily either.
Yeah.
I would assume those are probably few and far between where you just have to go, this probably isn't going to happen, but sure, we'll give it a shot.
Yeah.
I think more often than not, you're probably saying, yeah, okay, that's sure, we can do that. That's easy enough. And what I imagine probably happens a lot, and you've kind of mentioned this already, the person on the other end is going, really? You guys can do that for me? Mm-hmm. Okay, that's awesome.
Yeah. That's just it. I mean, I don't think that people realize what we can bring to the table, number one, and number two, what it means to leverage other service partners to grow and expand your business. And Alex and his team has so much experience in our ecosystem that to me, it would seem like, I don't know why a reseller wouldn't at least engage us and say, and have a conversation around it, whether or not we help them or not, just the experience. I mean, we're in it. We're all in this together. You said it in the very beginning. We don't succeed unless our customers succeed. So we're trying to do everything we can to make sure our customers can succeed.
Exactly.
And services is definitely one of those areas. We're getting into some managed services too, right, Alex? Where we can help folks or those that are trying to dip their toe, I guess, a little bit and test the waters on managing mobile devices and stuff like that. We're starting to even help out there where people can start to get involved in that, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And, obviously we work through some of our vendor partners as well for a lot of managed services.
Yep.
But we are starting to take more on internally, whether it's, with payment terminal devices and rolling them into, I don't want to call it any names, but yes, we can assist with that.
Yeah.
We have partnerships with our field service teams who are able to do help desk 24/7 that's based in the U.S., from any level, can manage a fleet of devices, and set up business continuity, disaster recovery solutions, whether it's on-site, cloud, or hybrid.
Just those three that you rattled off there, that is a great way that I know a lot of resellers are thinking about expanding their business into these recurring revenue, ongoing services 24/7, for example. I remember when I hate to keep saying this, but when I worked for a reseller, we started supporting the digital signage networks that we were installing. And we came across that question, well, how are we going to support this 24/7? We were a 20-person company, right?
Right.
We all go home at 5 o'clock, and on the weekends we're coaching baseball
You mean
games.
you weren't
and
up at
stuff
2 a.m. taking
no,
service calls?
we weren't doing
No?
24/7, but by leveraging a service partner that can,
Right.
and maybe now alerting you to the really stuff that's mission critical.
Right.
If you ever had something like that involved and you had to get a tech out, this is a great way to grow your business a little bit, and by leveraging other people who know what the heck they're doing, can help you navigate the pitfalls and get out there and develop your business in that way. That's what it's all about.
Yep.
Yeah.
Hard to
So,
agree.
anyway.
Well, listen, I mean, obviously there's a lot to offer here. And if you want to take advantage of any of these amazing services and Alex's team, okay, first of all, reach out to your account manager.
No, here's Alex's cell phone number. No, I'm just kidding.
I didn't know we were going there, but
Yeah, really.
But no, seriously, reach out to your account manager. Tell them what you want and what you need, what project you're working on. That'll be a great starting point. If you want to learn more about some of these services, go to BlueStarInc.com. Go to our value add section. You'll see our whole list of services and all of our other value adds there. You can do a deep dive into that stuff. Or hey, you can also reach out to us. You can always connect with us. We'll be happy to connect you with the right people and answer some questions, or get you in touch with the people who answer the questions. But hey, also, I know we're still at this point where we're not really having a lot of people coming on site or anything yet. But whenever one day we get to that point where you can come and visit, if you have a chance to visit Blue Star, come here, check out our custom config center.
Yep, it's cool.
Check out our key injection facility. Take a look at all this stuff, meet with folks like Alex and Dan, and do a tour if you can. It is honestly, you can take all kinds of tour of stuff around Blue Star, but that stuff is still part of my favorite. When I first came here and took that tour,
It's cool.
or when I would have customers in on my BDM days and show them that stuff, that was always the stuff they were most fascinated by. They walk into the config
Ooh,
center
what are they
and go,
doing over there?
That's pretty cool. I didn't know you guys could do this. Oh, look at this packaging stuff you're doing. This is awesome.
Yeah.
If you get that chance to do it, you will not regret it, and you will understand a little bit more about what we can do. So, but hey, again, as always, thank you to our TEConnect members who sponsor our show. That is Elo, Epson, Honeywell, and Zebra. As always, we could not do this without you, so we appreciate your support. Again, if you do want to get in touch with us, if you have any questions about services or other topics that you'd like us to dive into on the show, as always, you can find us on Twitter at TEConnectPod. You can email us TEConnect@BlueStarInc.com. All right, well, hey, let's wrap up with our two recurring segments. The first is the value to the VAR. So we're going to try to wrap up this conversation. I mean, let's be honest, this is another one of those conversations where every bit of it is value to the VAR.
Yep.
But I want a little bit of a takeaway maybe for our VAR audience. So the question I have today is, what should VARs be discussing with their customers right now to highlight service offerings and either how they can help, or again, you don't have to necessarily mention us, but how you can help, and that you've got Blue Star in your back pocket. So, Alex, I'll let you start this. What would you be recommending to our VARs to talk about to their customers?
Simplify the process for the end user. Let them know that you can take care of everything, from building a solution, designing it, whatever, installing it. They cut one PO. They don't have to worry about it. They don't have to look for technicians to come on site if that's not something that they, already have set up. So, yeah, I think how simple and easy we can make it is probably a great place to start.
I love that, and you stole my thunder, because I was going to say, don't be afraid to talk about services and start going into areas, because you can leverage other people. Just don't be afraid to ask those questions about it. I can just imagine a lot of small to medium-sized resellers, they're in their group, they're in their core competencies, they want to grow a little bit, but they're not used to asking questions around networking, or they're not used to asking questions around the packaging and kitting or any of the things that we've talked about here. And so just have the discussion, ask your customers, what are you looking for? Look for ways that services can be implemented into that. And don't be afraid don't think to yourself, oh my gosh, we're just a small guy and we would never be able to do site surveys and installations in Colorado. And so I'm not even going to ask those questions. I'm not even going to go there because we can't do. No, you can. You can go there. You should be asking those questions, and then lean on the service partners so that you can grow your business and do more for your current customer base. Yes, absolutely. Don't be afraid.
I think there's a very simple question also to ask is just, what do you need?
What do you need?
And if they're like, well, I came to you for a scanner, that's what I need. Or I came to you for a mobile computer, that's what I need. Okay, but what else do you need?
Yeah.
And if they don't really have a good answer for you, you start throwing out some other stuff like, okay, well, you're buying some mobile computers from us. Do you need applications installed on that?
Right.
Do you need MDM set up? What do you need to go with that? How's your network going? Are you going to be using these devices all over a giant warehouse? Is your network going to be able to support that? Again, don't be afraid to ask.
Or is
those
your
questions.
end user? Who's the end user here?
Exactly,
Do they need these types of things? Do you have the staff that can do that kind of service? No. Would you like to get into that? Just asking the questions. Knowing that you've got a full team of experienced people that can help you navigate all those landmines and all that good stuff that we talked about.
Because if you ask that question enough times, and people start saying, "Well, we'll probably need this," and you go, "Okay, we can take care of that," and they go, "Oh, okay, well, we also need this. Yeah, we can take care of that too." Then suddenly that floodgates get open, and realize, like, man, these guys can do everything.
Anytime I'm starting a conversation, I kick it off with, give me an overview of what the project is going to entail and what you want, and then just like you said, more and more questions come up.
That's sales 101 too, and that's consultative sales 101.
Right.
Is don't assume that just what they asked you for is the only thing they need.
Bingo.
Just because somebody said, "I need a barcode scanner," if that's where you leave it, fine. You sell a barcode scanner. But there's a good chance if you asked a little bit more, delved a little bit further in, got that overview of the bigger project, you realize, oh, there's a ton more business we can get out of
Alex,
this.
how many times has it happened to you where you start having those scope of work conversations, right? Okay, let's start developing the SOW here. What is it going to look like? And there's more and more stuff that gets put into there, which is awesome. These are the kinds of conversations you want to have. You want to unearth all those opportunities. Maybe at the end of the road, you can't do everything for the customer, but darn it, I bet you can get really close by leveraging other service partners and what they're looking to try to do.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Almost every project
Almost
is like that.
exactly. Right.
I'm drafting the statement of work and putting all the services together, and we'll start to run through the proof of concept. And that's where we always add
there you go.
or remove things or the project changes. So it's definitely going to evolve as we get deeper into the process, but it ultimately ends up in a better, experience for the end user.
Yep, 100%.
Definitely.
Yep.
All right, well, hey, let's wrap up with our favorite segment, What's Tech Connecting with Us? This is where we talk about something in the world of science, tech, innovation that's got our eye, caught our attention, something that we're just thinking about, playing with. Alex, I'll let you start. What's Tech Connecting with you right now?
Reddit, Robinhood, Twitter. I don't like Twitter, but it is fun to see how tweets are sent out, and the cryptocurrencies are all over the place. So the whole
world can be changed with a tweet sometimes, or a Reddit thread. Yeah.
Oh, is that what you're? I didn't know if you had like a tech beef that you're complaining about those. Or
no. I mean, I could certainly go into that, but I won't. No, I think it's like a trio of apps that I've been using nonstop for a little while now.
I'm not into Reddit sphere yet.
No, I really am not either. Every now and then I'll find a link to an interesting Reddit thread and go down that rabbit hole, but it's not something
There's a lot of rabbit holes, right?
It's like YouTube. You get on there for one thing, and it's 2 hours later.
Right?
Yeah, it's not. I don't think it's easy to use. I had the app for like 2 years or 3 years, and until everything went crazy with Wall Street bets, GameStop and everything else. That's when I figured out how to use it, and I was like, "Wow, this is almost as you just have to read instead of watch."
Yeah, that's a good point.
So there's POS things on there that I've seen, for different vendors and manufacturers that we use. So I'm like, it's a great resource. I think.
Maybe I need to start a TEConnect podcast Reddit.
Okay.
It'll be just you and me just talking Star Wars back and forth with each other like always. All right, Dean, what's Tech Connecting with you right now?
Do you like oxygen?
I'm pretty fond of it.
You kind of need it, right?
Most days.
If you lived on Mars, they don't have any oxygen. So what's Tech Connecting with me is NASA, and I don't know why I'm still caught up in this whole Perseverance thing that little rover that they have up there.
Because it's the coolest thing we've done in space in like 30 years.
It's fascinating.
Damn cool. They got a little toaster up there that produced oxygen up there. So that's the first time that they ever did it, but it was a monumental step. If we have any hope of actually having people live and I'm going to use the word commute to Mars and stuff like that, the only way we're going to do that is you got to produce oxygen.
Sorry, I'm late, boss. Traffic was a bitch on the way to Mars today.
It took 7 months, but and our current propulsion uses oxygen, right? And so you can't ferry all this oxygen up there in order to come
point.
back, et cetera, et cetera. So it was a really, really big milestone. Now, they only produced enough to enable an astronaut to breathe for 10 minutes. And this thing's like a toaster, literally the size of a toaster. And then I guess it has to heat up elements. And of course, there's enough carbon dioxide in Mars's atmosphere. They just parse out the oxygen, created oxygen, again, enough for 10 minutes. But they were all like, yep, we're good. Now they just have to be able to figure out how to make tons and tons and tons of oxygen. But
More toasters.
More toasters. There you go.
What was it in The Martian that Matt Damon was growing potatoes? Like, just, let's just send a bunch of potatoes out there and grow them, right?
There you go.
That's all we need.
Yeah. So 5 grams, by the way, is the only amount of oxygen you need for about 10 minutes of life. Yeah, just 5 grams.
Yeah. It's not going to last you too long there.
No. But hey, huge milestone.
It is
one
a
step
start
at a time.
Yep, it is a start. We also have the whole, like, the little helicopter that flew on Mars.
I love that thing. Yes.
The first, craft to actually fly in the atmosphere on Mars.
Yep.
So
they're doing a lot of cool stuff with that thing. Did China just land on Mars? Did anybody?
They did, yeah. They just landed their first, maybe first. Maybe it wasn't their first one, but they just landed a.
So do we send our drone over there and like flick it out and pew, get out of here?
I think right now we're kind of trying to be in the spirit of cooperation.
Oh, okay, we're cooperating.
But let's be honest, it's not going to be too much longer for everyone starting to plant their flags and try to claim certain hemispheres as their own.
Yes.
All right.
So what's tech connecting with you?
So I've got a little bit of a scary science thing here.
Uh-oh.
Here's the headline: Nuclear reactions at Chernobyl are spiking in an inaccessible chamber.
Wait. We'll do that one more time.
Nuclear reactions at Chernobyl,
which I thought was done,
which is
but apparently
like almost
not.
40 years ago,
Yeah.
are spiking in an inaccessible chamber.
Oh,
So
good Lord.
there are still parts of Chernobyl that are inaccessible because of extremely high radiation that still exists there. Now, supposedly these areas have not, been in any way dangerous necessarily or any concern of explosions.
Okay.
But apparently there's some reactions that some scientists have detected in the last few weeks there that indicate some, a little bit of spikes that weren't there before. Now, here's a great quote from somebody, one of the scientists on the project here. Let me see if I can find it here real quick. We're talking about very low rates of fission. It's not like a fizzling nuclear reactor. And our estimation,
that's good news.
and our estimation of fissile material in that room means that we can be fairly confident that you're not going to get such a rapid release of nuclear energy that you have an explosion, but we don't know for sure. That is not confident inspiring
That's not sounding
at
very
all.
confident at all. So
man.
stuff is bubbling down there. We don't think it's enough to make an explosion, but we're not sure.
I'll tell you also, I don't know, on a side note, this is a hearty recommendation. Did either of you see the Chernobyl miniseries on HBO?
No, but I heard it was good.
Highly recommended. It's an amazing miniseries. I want to say it's 5-6 episodes.
Okay.
And it's a little bit of a dramatization of the whole thing, but it really... Like, it's one of those things, like, we all understand, like, we all know what it was. Like, there's a nuclear accident in Chernobyl.
Like high level, right?
Right,
Yeah.
exactly. But they really do a great deep dive into how it all happened, why it happened, some of the failings on the part of the Russian government, or Soviet government, I guess, at that time. The people that got, ended up getting swept up in it and died because of it and because of what their government was hiding from them. It's a very fascinating story. And they also do a really good job, especially in the last episode, of explaining exactly why and how it happened. Like, kind of dumbing it down for the masses where you can really get a fundamental understanding of that whole situation. But I highly recommend it. It's a good series. But yeah, the story is a little terrifying.
A little bit. Not cool.
As something I just assumed was done. Like, I understood it was still irradiated.
I thought it was done. Right, yeah, right.
But I didn't think there was any
chance. Did they put like a big dome over it or something, like encased it or something?
Sort of.
Kind of, yes,
yeah.
right.
The miniseries actually gets into a little bit of that too.
Oh, okay. Well, anyway, I thought it was done.
There you go.
Yeah, apparently not.
It's not.
It's still boiling. Yeah. There you go. Great.
All right. Well, hey,
I'm going to sleep tonight.
Well, we're pretty far away. I think we're okay. Just don't make any plans to go to the Chernobyl area anytime soon.
Good to go. Good to go.
Which apparently has been a tourist attraction of the last decade or so.
Yeah.
So maybe you might want to stop that. That does it for us. Alex Bowles, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
We appreciate your insight. Again, if you need anything from Blue Star in the world of services, don't hesitate to reach out. We will be happy to help.
He doesn't say no.
Exactly.
See?
He doesn't say no.
He just won't say no.
Whatever wacky request throw it out there, he won't say no.
There you go.
For Dean Reverman, I'm John Barton. It's time for us to unplug. Until next time, stay connected. Every industry wants devices that are secure and keep data private. But that's even more important in government. Data security via encryption is a standard part of every code product, hardware, and software, but they take it a step further with a series of FIPS-validated solutions, taking robust encryption to the next level. Additionally, this validation qualifies these products as government-approved for use in their facilities. Using government-tested and approved cryptography for data transmission, the code FIPS-validated CR2700 scanners, cradles, and remote management software are perfect for your public sector partners. In addition to the usual disinfectant-ready housing, IP65 protection, smart batteries, and much more. To learn more, check out the link in the show notes or contact your BlueStar code rep. Looking to provide customers with pre-configured, easy-to-use solutions, look no further than Elo's in-a-box solutions. Combining Elo's best-in-class interactive displays with cutting-edge software, BlueStar Services, and all the accessories, validation, and certification options you expect, in-a-box makes things easy. Choose from one of Elo's software-agnostic displays ranging from 7 to 65 inches and tell your rep what you need and what your customer needs to make your solution a success. To learn more and see some of Elo's in-a-box solutions for video conferencing, POS, wayfinding, and more, check out the link in the show notes or contact your BlueStar Elo representative. It takes more than hardware to power an enterprise. Your customer's choice of software will determine how seamlessly employees, managers, IT staff, and development teams operate. It's also no secret that Android is the world's dominant operating system and a popular choice for workforce mobility technology. Zebra further enhances Android operating systems with security features, rugged housings, customizations, and simplified management to make devices enterprise-worthy. They offer an extensive range of enterprise-optimized Android devices along with the tools to manage them. To learn more about one of those tools, check out the ebook, Optimizing Productivity and Management with Zebra Mobility DNA, available on BlueStar's new TEConnect portal. You can find the link in the show notes or go to TEConnectportal.com and search for Mobility.